Anritam nokta purvam ne me nachavakshe kadachana etatte pratijanami satyena ivachate shapamyaham. Anritam nokta purvam me. Sugriva, in my life I never uttered a lie before. No falsehood has ever escaped the tongue of Rama. Nor do I intend to ever speak a lie. I swear by all that is true, I shall keep this promise to you. Sugriva was overjoyed when he heard this. He said, I am in every way favored by the gods because I have you as a friend. With you as ally, it should not be difficult even to get the kingdom of the gods. And Rama, I too am a friend who is worthy of you. As you will find it by and by. Not for me to speak of my own praise. Adhyo vapi daridro va dukkhitas sukhitopi va nirdosho va sadosho va vayasya paramagati dhanatyaga sukhatyago dehatyagopi va punah vayasyartham pravartante sneham drishtva tathavidam. It's a beautiful verse. A defining verse on what is friendship. Adhyo vapi daridro va dukkhitas sukhitopi va. Whether he is rolling in riches or whether he is a daridra, he is in poverty. Whether he is in misery or he is in great happiness. Whether he is a crook or he is a clean man. Whether he is unblemished or he is full of faults. Whatever it is, if he is a friend is one's haven of refuge. Paramagati. Those who realize that such is the nature of friendship and they can recognize the friendship in a friend. They see that sneham in that friend. Then for that friend to give up wealth, to give up one's wealth, one's happiness, even one's life if need be, is the right thing to do, says Sugriva. And Rama heartily agrees, saying that is indeed so. Nirdosho va sadosho va. Sugriva may be in fault, he may not be in fault. Rama may be in fault, Rama may not be in fault. But the pledge of friendship that they have given, they have to do what is to be done. Dharma is a queer thing. Not easy to, it's sukshma. Seeing that Rama and now Sugriva sees Rama and Lakshmana standing and talking now suddenly. So he quickly goes and he breaks a big branch from a sala tree, puts it on the ground and tells Rama, please sit down. Sits down. He breaks another one for Lakshmana and says, yo, sit down. Makes them both comfortable. Then he sits down next to Rama and now he is going to tell him. And he says, I have been done out of my rights by Vali. In fear of him, I wander here and there in this Rishyamukha mountain. I am haunted by fear. My wife has been kidnapped by Vali. I am in great grief, Rama, myself. I live in dread, distracted, demoralized, completely overcome by fear because of my brother Vali, who has become my merciless enemy. And he, Rama, he has denuded me of every thing that I had. You, Raghava, Rama, you who redeem all world from fear, should shower your grace on me too. Helpless that I am. Rama smiled and told him, Upakara phalam mitram apakarori lakshanam ajjaivattam hanishyami tava bharya paharinam. Upakara phalam mitram. To show oneself as a friend, one has to render help. To render help is what is the signature of friendship. Apakaro arilakshanam. To cause harm is the signature of enmity. Even today, I will kill him who kidnapped your wife. I will kill him, says Rama to Sugriva. Ime hime mahavega patrinastigma tejasah kartikeya vanodbhuta sharahema vibhushita kankapatra parichanna mahendra shanisannibha suparvana sutikshnagra sarosha bhujaga iva pratri sanyamitram te valinam kritakilvisham sharair vinihatam pasyavikidnam iva parvatam. Rama tells Sugriva, these shafts of mine, he shows the arrows, the shafts of mine. You know, the shafts, they were made of cane. They are wooden. It may be covered with gold and other things, but fundamentally it's wooden, cane. These shafts of mine that grew in the thicket of reeds in which was born Lord Kartikeya, says Rama. Rama's arrows were made of reeds that were in Sharavana of Murugan. The shafts of reeds that grew in the shafts of mine that grew in the thickets of reeds in the birthplace of Kartikeya and are decked with gold and are exceedingly swift and fierce, who are speeded by the feathers of Kanka on them, which are smoothly jointed and sharply pointed and are comparable to the Vajra of Indra, Sugriva. You shall see Vali, your so-called brother. Your so-called brother, who is your enemy and who has deeply wronged you. You shall see him slain by these arrows like a mountain that is split. But tell me, Sugriva, how did this enmity happen to happen? Tell me all about it so that I can give it due consideration. I can, upon consideration of all factors, decide on what is best to do to ensure your happiness. Sugriva, you may speak freely. Sugriva replied, Vali, my brother, slayer of enemies, was greatly esteemed by my father and by me too. When our father died, Vali, was placed by the ministers on the throne as the ruler of the apes because he was the elder son and he enjoyed the esteem of all. While he ruled the great kingdom that had been handed down from father to son, I obeyed him in all things as his able servant. And then it happened that Dundubhi's eldest son, the powerful Mayavi, was one with whom Vali had a famous quarrel over a woman. Once, this Mayavi came to the gates of Kishkinda in the dead of the night. And when we were all asleep, he raised a mighty ruckus at the gates of Kishkinda, challenging Vali to a fight. Vali, my brother, who had been sound asleep, was provoked by that fearful yell. And he came out swiftly. And then in his wrath, he left his home determined to kill that mighty Asura. Though his women and I too, in all humility, sought to dissuade him, he of immense strength repulsed us and he went forth. Thereupon, I too followed him. I too, moved by affection, went along with Vali. On seeing from far my brother coming to him and me in hot pursuit, that Mayavi got frightened and he turned heel and he ran. Seeing him flee, we followed him even more swiftly. And the rising moon lit up the way. The Asura, he entered a huge cave covered with grass which seemed impossible. We moved with all swiftness and found ourselves at the mouth of the cave. And seeing the enemy enter the cave, Vali was in great anger. All his senses in a turmoil. He said to me, wait vigilantly here. At the entrance of the cave, Sugriva, while I go in and swiftly dispatch that Asura. I begged him hard, saying, I will come with you. Don't go in alone. I will come with you. We will finish him together. I told him. But he forbade me. And he sealed his refusal with an oath on his feet, forbidding me from entering that cave and asking me to wait here. And he went in. And I waited. Rama, I waited. I waited and waited. I waited a whole year. I was there at the mouth of the cave waiting for 1 whole year. I didn't go back. All this time, not seeing him for a whole year, I was plunged in grief because of my affection towards Vali. Since I now saw no sign of my brother, I feared the worst. When after a long time, suddenly I found blood and froth coming out of the cave. I was astonished and I was grief-stricken. And I heard the noise made by the shouting of an Asura. It was not my brother's wife. From the signs, I concluded that my brother had been slain. So I blocked the entrance to the cave with a huge boulder as big as a hill, and I returned to Kishkinda, distraught with grief. My friend, after offering water libations to my brother, though I tried my best to hide the truth, the ministers came to know. And then they conferred and they crowned me the king by general consent. As I was ruling the realm justly, one day Vali returned, having slain the foe, the great Asura. On seeing that I had been crowned king, Vali, his eyes red with anger, had my ministers put in chains. He put my ministers in chains and he spoke harshly to me. Though I myself was fully capable of restraining him, I was averse to dealing in that way out of respect for an elder brother. When he entered the city after slaying the Asura, I gave him due honor and I prostrated myself before him as always. But when I prostrated before him, he uttered no blessings from a full heart. Having prostrated, I took the crown off, I touched his feet with the crown, my Lord. But even then, Vali would not in his anger bless me. I sought to console him, who was in such a rage. I wanted to protect myself. I told him, God be thanked that you have returned, and the enemy has been slain. You that rejoices the hearts of people who have no defense, O Vali. You are my sole refuge, and I have none else other than you. Please accept. I immediately gave him. I said, please accept this many-ribbed royal umbrella, which shall be held over your head like the full moon risen. Please accept this fly whisk. Having sat for a whole year at the entrance of the cave, my brother, I was waiting outside for a whole year at the entrance of the cave in great agony of mind. O king, I then saw blood flowing from the cave. My heart grieving within me and all my senses in a turmoil. I thought I heard the asura screaming and I did not hear your voice. I thought the worst. And I shut the door, shut the entrance of the cave with the mighty crest of a hill. And I left the place and I returned to Kishkinda, despondent. And seeing me in a state of despondency, that citizens and the ministers, they crowned me as a king without my desiring it. So you should excuse me. You alone are the king, Vali. You alone are the king. You alone deserve all honor. I shall return and be as I have always been. My induction to sovereignty was the result of my having lost you. This kingdom, this entire citizenry, this city which I have been holding as a trust for you, is free from any trouble, Vali, and I give it back to you. You must not be angry with me. I implore you, O king. I implore you with bowed head and folded hands. It was the ministers and the people of the city that came together and compelled me to accept the kingship from the fear that a kingless country might attract would-be conquerors. Thus I spoke affectionately. But the air repulsed me and he browbeat me, crying, "Thick fire upon you, get away from my sight." And he said all sorts of things that were most unbecoming. Calling together the representatives of the people and the ministers who enjoyed all esteem, he said in the presence of everybody, "Things so unseemly." He used such offensive words about me, Rama. Such a blameworthy, offensive words about me. And he told them, all of you know how Mayavi, the great Asura, came in the dead of the night and he challenged me, and how I had gone in pursuit of him. And this hard-hearted brother of mine, Sugriva, he also came along. He followed me quickly. And then he tells them, when I saw that Mayavi enter that frightful cave, I told this brother of mine, you stay put at the entrance. It took me a year to find him. But I found him and I killed him and I killed the other asuras who were there inside as well. And then as that asura fell and he roared, blood came out of his mouth and filled the cave and made it unfordable. But then I had slain him, and when I had come out and I was looking on my way out, I found the way blocked. I kept shouting, "Sugriva, Sugriva," there was no answer. It was a huge hill he had blocked the entrance with. It was a mighty struggle for me to get that open. This cruel Sugriva, forgetting the love due to a brother in his ambition to get the kingdom for himself, he buried me there. Now Sugriva, he turned to me and said, "Get out of the kingdom." He expelled me that very minute, though he had no cause to fear from me. He left me with nothing. He allowed me to take nothing. I had to leave with but a loincloth. Evicted. I was expelled by him, and he took away my wife. And from fear of him, I have traversed this entire earth with its forests and oceans. Saddened by the abduction of my wife, I have taken refuge in this mountain Rishimuka, because it is a mountain which is forbidden ground for Vali for certain reasons. And now I have told you all about the enmity, Rama. I have, for no fault of mine, been subject to intense suffering. You who assure freedom from fear to the whole world, Rama, you should do me the favor of punishing Vali, of whom I go in dread. Thus pleaded to Rama, the powerful one who knew Dharma, answered Sugriva with a smile. In these words inspired by Dharma, The sharp and sun-bright arrows of mine, which never fail, shall, speeded by my arm, fall upon that evil doer Vali, the wicked Vali, the abductor of your wife, who has been guilty of infamous conduct, shall not live a moment longer after I have set my eyes upon him. From my own experience, I can very well imagine how you must be submerged in an ocean of grief. I shall ferry you over it, and you shall have all that the heart desires. Hearing these words, which augured all good, Sugriva was overjoyed, and he replied with words pregnant with meaning. And on that note, we conclude here this week.